imagine, did you have a birthday last week?
Yes.
And how old are you now?
6.
You're 6? You're
Yeah.
sure you're not 60?
I'm in 6.
You're 6. Can we sing happy birthday to you? All right, here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear legend. Happy birthday to you. Would you like the funny song now that I sing to you? Okay, it goes like this. Happy birthday to you. You live in the zoo. You look like a monkey, and you smell like 1, 2. Woo! Give a clap, everybody.
Ooh, that was very triggering for me because I went to Catholic school when I was younger, and it brought back so many different memories. But we'll get into all of that. But I want to say thank you to our guest, Miss Pamela Smith. She is fantastic on social media. If you're not following her, please follow her. She's at Black Home Educators. She's really a champion for homeschooling, which you've heard me say many times on this show. We've homeschooled, me and my wife homeschooled all 3 of our children leading up to high school. So she is retired on 46 acres, featured in Forbes, Revolt TV, Tavis Smiley, and she really has put together a whole homeschool community. It is really amazing what she's doing. So happy to have her on today, Miss Pamela Smith. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Well, first, thank you for because I know it's early where you are. We're on the East Coast and you're not. So first of all, let me thank you for even getting up early, because one of the things about homeschool, you ain't got to wake up at the crack of dawn. You can get your kids are well rested. They can get up and they can learn and they can do their work. And they don't have to waste so much time at traditional school. I can go on and on. But first, let me ask you, this video, and I saw you post about it, and I posted about it as well. It was very triggering for me. But what was the part that wasn't surprising, but it was still disappointing to hear, was the number of people that were dismissing it as nothing big. Like, oh, you guys are making a little bit too much out of this. This is a song that we all sang as kids. I'm like, do y'all understand that a lot of the songs that we sang as kids were very racist, of how they actually started and what they actually mean and the implication? We sing them, but when you find out what they really mean, you would stop singing them. But what was your response and your reaction to seeing that viral video?
It was triggering to me also. I mean, I was out all day, and I think it was a couple of days ago, and when I started checking my messages, and everybody was like tagging me in the video. So I went and watched it, and the first thing I thought was, whoa, wow, this is inappropriate, and for a teacher out of all people should know that even though this is a song that people have sang, back in the day or whatever, it's inappropriate to sing that to what looked to be, the only Black child in that classroom. And the reason I say that is because being the only child in the class that's of color is already hard, So that teacher should have been even more sensitive to, the things that she does and says.
Definitely. Go ahead, Chuck.
I mean, yeah, I couldn't believe the obliviousness. And I'm being generous right now, because you could read that 2 ways. Either way, this teacher is just terrible. First of all, it's great to have you, Dr. Smith, on the show. What is the reaction? I see a lot of white kids in the group. What is the reaction to white children in the group, and how they may be learning and perceiving as this teacher is moving down this way? I say that with I was thinking of the Dr. Kenneth Clark studies in mind, of the young white kids and Black kids learn about race as early as 2 years old with the white doll test and the black doll test. And I'm thinking, what's going on? How does this impact the group? And I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. The children are learning from their environment. I've said that over and over again, that whatever is being taught either in a classroom or at home, Kids are not, I don't believe kids are born racist. I think they learn from their environment. They learn from their parents. They learn from their teachers. And how a teacher responds or what a teacher does has an impact on not just the Black children, but also the white kids that are in there who may in turn turn around and sing that song to some other Black children that they may encounter.
I mean, I could, okay. So let me just tell you. So I went to a school called Monte Casino in Tulsa, Oklahoma when I was younger, and I was one of 3 Black people in the class, and we all stuck together. Me and Devin Isaac and Andrea Hatter, and we all close still now, even today. We're all old now, but we're all close. And there are so many stories that I have of being in situations where there were things that were just inappropriate, where you're just singled out as a Black person, where a teacher will say, I remember Sister Emily, and it's even worse than that. I remember Sister Emily, a little kid had a slingshot, and Sister Emily said to the kid, why did you bring that N-word shooter into school? And I was like, what the devil did she just say? You know what I mean? So we went to the principal, Mr. Theben, and he's like, oh, she's older. She, from a different time period. It's not really a big thing. I was like, no, it's a big thing to me that she just said this all casually. But there were so many different instances. Sister Agatha looked at me when I went back and she said, oh, you people grow fast, don't you? And I'm like, what did she just say? You know what I mean? So I'm a little kid learning how to navigate through racism, and other white kids are seeing how, okay, they're treating him different, probably because we're better. And that develops the superiority complex of white kids. That's what I saw. What is your response to that, and what do you think?
Absolutely. You lived it. I mean, you were in that environment, and and that's exactly how that happens. They are learning from their parents, they're learning from their teachers, they're from their environment, and they're learning. They see how the white faculty, the white staff treats the Black students, and so that plays into who they grow up to become, and they develop. I see it every single day. Being a content creator, it doesn't matter my background, my credentials. I still have what I would say white women who have nowhere nearly has accomplished as much as I have will still think they can come and correct me, right? They somehow are superior. And I see that every single day with them. It is learned behavior. It is what they have grown up to believe.
Go ahead,
That's
Chuck.
right. Well, you know what? I'm so interested in really it's homeschooling. We're at a time where all curricula is under attack. Trump has just gone full speed ahead with it. But let's be honest, even before Trump, the curricula was pretty bad as it was. When I went to school, I learned Columbus discovered America. I mean, other myths of that nature. So tell me the case of homeschooling and that decision to make homeschooling in an environment that a lot of young people are not getting in the institutions.
Well, my family and I started homeschooling about almost 18 years ago. And the reason we started homeschooling was because our children at the time were in a Christian school, and we were under the impression that Christian meant, oh, well, they're going to be treated good. These people are God loving folks. And what we started to see quickly was that wasn't the case. A lot of times people put their kids in these private schools, rich folks, doctors, lawyers, because they don't want them in public school. And the other thing I saw was my children were losing their identity. They no longer like their 4C hair, being picked on by my daughters being picked on by white boys. And so what I saw was the children were not seeing themselves among their peers. They were not seeing themselves among the curriculum, and they were not seeing themselves among the staff, the administrators, the teachers. And I quickly saw the damage that was doing to my children. And so I decided to homeschool and take charge of their education because I did not want them being taught exactly what you said. Christopher Columbus was a great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. You know, we homeschooled our children all the way up to high school. And here in PG County, you know, PG County is a special place. So we have Black Christian schools, you know what I mean, that are not like what I grew up with in Montecasino. So my kids go to Bishop McNamara here. And it's really like a little HBCU. You know what I mean? Like the way that we would not feel comfortable sending our children there if it wasn't properly done, if education wasn't properly done. And even then, even still, you still got to be on top of stuff. And I would really encourage Black parents especially to really dive in deep about what is going on in your children's school. Because, you know, Black parents, you know, you're working, you don't have a lot of time, you know, you check, you finish your homework, all right, but go a little deeper, because there was so much stuff going on in some of these schools. I have a friend who just told me, and I won't say his name unless he wants me to, but a few years ago, he pulled his son out of a Catholic school in Tulsa, Oklahoma, because he learned that the teacher had nicknamed him Buckwheat. And that's what they all called him. And he's like, wait a minute. You know, they were sitting around. He said it casually. Yeah, the teacher always calls me Buckwheat. That's what I was like, wait. They were like, they call you Buckwheat? What do you mean? So they had to go up there and snatch. But that stuff like that, microaggressions, things like that happen all the time at some of these private schools where there's only 1 or 2 Black kids. I'm telling you. So I really salute the work that you're doing in promoting homeschool. Talk about that a little bit more, and your entire setup and how you have hired different teachers and everything like that, because I think it's really phenomenal.
Yeah, the first step for parents is, if you're, listening to this and you're thinking, well, how in the world can I homeschool? Um, the first step would be to look at your schedule, look at, are you working from home? Can you um, change your shifts? What could you do? Homeschooling comes down to the ages of your children, the time that you have. If you have a spouse or partner that can help with that, because certainly that helped. My husband and I were a team over the years. So before we retired, we were entrepreneurs. And so I think, from my approach, I always try to encourage parents, get free all the way around. Like, if you can start a business, having your own business will definitely give you that more flexibility. For us, being business owners meant I could bring my kids to the office with me, right? My husband and I could take turns. When he had to be in the office, I was home, vice versa. So you really have to look at your time, your schedule, and then really from there, looking at your state, because every state has different homeschooling laws, making sure that you comply with those laws. And then from there is really looking for a curriculum that fits your child. The biggest mistake I think parents make is trying to repeat school at home. As you know, homeschooling is, it's about your children learning at their level, at their pace, in a comfortable environment. I think the mistake a lot of parents make is the very first thing they want to repeat school at home. And that's not the purpose of that. We know that schools were designed for the industrial age. It was designed to crank out factory workers, and that system has not changed. And therefore, we're not producing children that have the mindset to go out and start their own business. We know the book by Carter G. Woodson, The Miseducation of the Negro. Basically, Carter G. taught us that these schools are not teaching us how to go out and make a difference in our own communities.
Oh, 100%. And let me just add to what you're saying. There's a few things. It's very important for young people to be able to get rest, especially if they're athletes. And young people are so tired in school. You know what I mean? I mean, my daughters just had a game last night and had to wake up because they're in high school now, and they're so tired. And my baby Sierra's like, man, can I go back to homeschooling for a little bit? Because she can rest. She can wake up at 10 o'clock and eat, and then knock out all of her work and not waste time at school. School is a lot of wasting time.
Yeah.
Going from one class to the other, line up here, go to this assembly, all that stuff ain't got nothing to do with what they're learning anything. And then also, it's so important. So even if you can't homeschool, it's so important for parents to teach their kids about their history at home. It is so important, because if you're not taught anything about your history, anything about your culture, then you're going to grow up like almost being ashamed of what you come from, because you're only being fed these negative, you know what I mean, images of your people that are completely incorrect. So it's just so, it's so important. But time is flying by. I want to ask you one quick question before I let you go. I want you to speak directly to the people who minimized what they saw in the video and said it wasn't a very big deal, and that we're making too much out of something that is sung and you know, all the time when kids are little. And this, the importance of knowing what you're singing, like knowing what you're actually saying, knowing what the nursery rhyme says, and what it was meant to say. You know, talk about that, because I saw you do a video about that, and it's really important for people to understand the impact of that.
Well, I think if somebody is in 2025 and they don't know what the negativity around calling Black people monkeys is, either they're intentionally, ignorant, or they just really have been living under a rock. And I would say to them, they really need to take time to study history. They need to take time to listen to Black voices. You have some people that just, they know what it means and they're just trying to dismiss us. They're gaslighting, But for the people that may not understand this because, they haven't lived in our world, and perhaps they've never called Black folks monkeys, then I would say you need to listen to Black voices. You need to listen and understand why that's negative. When Barack Obama was in office for 8 years, that they called his family monkeys. We got to get those monkeys out of the White House. I was just on TikTok yesterday, and a young lady posted a reply video to a white man who called her a monkey. Monkey is a common term that they use to describe our people. We know during Jim Crow and the minstrel shows, the depiction of Black people as monkeys, the way they showed us with big lips, eating watermelon, all of that goes back to that time period. And I would say to them to take time to listen to Black voices, to read and study and to understand.
And let me say also, there's so many different examples. When a few months ago, Angel Reese was on the cover of NBA 2K, and the person transposed her image with the image of a monkey. And that's what there's a reason why that specific insult is historically used. So when people will say, "Oh, it's no big deal," no, it is a big deal. And sometimes I will say, sometimes white people don't know, and they have to listen. Like you said, quick example: I was in college, and we were in either Maui or Puerto Rico, and so we're all outside swimming. And an assistant coach, and this is my guy, Bernie Fine. He was my guy. He was my big man coach. I worked with him all the time, so this was my guy. He made a statement, and he said, "Hey, I thought Black people couldn't swim," and all the guys like nervously kind of laughed. And I remember Eric Williams, kind of giggling, and we got that uncomfortable, nervous laugh. And I was like, I had never heard that before. I was like, well, why would you say that? What does that mean? And Eric Williams said, "Oh, because if we could swim, that means we would have swum off that boat, the slavery boat." And I was like, "Is that what you were saying?" So I looked at him and I said, "Okay, what if I said I thought that Jewish people didn't like showers?" I was like, because Hitler would tell them they were going to take showers and then spray them all with acid. That would be a sick and twisted joke, wouldn't it?
Right.
And it was just silence for a little while. And he said, "I apologize. I did not even look at it like that. That is completely my fault, and I will never make that reference again." And we have to be able to call people out on something that is inappropriate, not give an uncomfortable laugh. You know what I mean? That uncomfortable laugh where you really, it's like stinging you. No, call them out, because sometimes they don't know. Now, once you explain it to them and they disregard it, then that's different. You know what I mean? But you got to sometimes explain it to them. But hey, listen, we ran out of time. I love everything that you're doing. Please tell everybody where they can follow you, all the different things, how they can get in touch with you, and everything that you're doing.
Hi, yes. Well, thank you for having me on the show. I love your content as well. You know, I'm always sharing it. And so I definitely look up to you and admire you. So thank you for having me. You can find me at Black Home Educators. I have the same username on all the platforms, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You can find me there or send me an email, Pamela at blackhomeeducators.com.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Much respect to you. Keep doing what you're doing. You're inspiring a lot of people. So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.